This week we've got Steve Harmison joining us on From The Finchale End. Welcome, Stephen.
How are you, Ashley? All right?
I'm very well, mate. How are you?
I'm very, very well. Just managed to dodge the rain from the Gulf, so I'm quite happy. So it's typical sunny summer weather and locked down for 3 months. It's been cracking flags. Everybody's got a suntan. And then when we're allowed out again, it starts to rain. Cricket season must be about to start.
I was going to say they've just announced literally today, haven't they, that first-class cricket is due to start at the beginning of August. They're going to start off with some red ball, first of all, I believe, and then look at some T20s through September. So some good news there. Test match starts this week as well, mate. What are your thoughts on that test match?
It's going to be interesting to see who England pick. Stuart Broad has got this record that he potentially could go for, but I don't see any of the bowlers playing 3 test matches, which would scupper Stuart's chance of I think he needs 3 test matches to play 57 test matches in a row at home, which would beat Jack Callis, which I think Stuart's quite keen on. But I'm not sure the selectors, because of the size of the squad, they'll probably want to give people a game, which opens up a chance for Mark Wood to have a game at some point in the three games. I don't see it being too different from intensity and quality.
Yeah.
I think England will win 3-0. I don't think the West Indies have got enough in the run department to get a score on the board to give their bowlers a chance. I was in the Caribbean commentating for TalkSport, and on a flat pitch, good pitches to bat on, the West Indies bowling attack was beautiful. Some really good quality seamers, but I think in English conditions, the likes of Broad, Anderson, laterally moving the ball, I think they'll be too good for their batsmen. I don't think the West Indies batsmen will get anywhere near. So, but it'll be intriguing to see if they give anybody a game. I can't see, and I see they've gone down the road of probably playing Crawley, which is an easy option a little bit, because I would have played Bairstow and said to Johnny, right, go and score a big 100 in the first test match. The captain's going to come back in, but you're going to put pressure on Denley and potentially the openers to say, right, we've got someone who's a proven test match player. He's now got the bit between his teeth again. If you aren't doing your job properly, Johnny comes back in. So, but they've gone down the road of Zach Crawley. I don't really mind that, because I think Zach's a good player, and I think he'd be a good player for the future, potentially batting at 3, if and when Denley, Joe Denley's place does come in question. So, all in all, I think it'll be a good series, and I think England will win comfortably 3-0.
Yeah, I agree. I think runs for the West Indies will prove much harder to come by in this series than they did in the Caribbean. Pretty inexperienced batting lineup as well. I think there's a few guys that haven't travelled due to, obviously, the current pandemic and things like that. So to start off as a young batsman in England against all these England bowlers who are fresh and looking to prove a point is going to be really tough for them.
Yeah, and Anderson especially. Jimmy's got nothing to prove, but the one thing that be question marks on anybody at the age of James Anderson is, can he put 2 and 3 games together? And I don't see there being an issue there. I think Jimmy Anderson will do. And we all know what Jimmy's like when he's got the bit between his teeth and something to prove. And I think now at the age he's at, every test match that comes around, he's desperate to play. I think if there's one bowler that want to play in all the test matches this summer, it'll be Jimmy Anderson, because he'll not know when potentially his last one's coming around the corner. So a skillful Anderson in these conditions, and I think he'd be too good for the West Indies.
Totally agree. Let's move on to you and Durham in the North East. Talk to us about how cricket started for Steve Harmison.
It started at Beddleton Cricket Club, to be fair. It didn't start at Ashton, it started at Beddleton Cricket Club. My dad played second team cricket mid-summer, so I missed the first 5 games, 6 games of the season, missed the last 6 games because of the non-league football circuit.
Yeah.
And it started like probably everybody else did. You were the scorer. You ended up doing fine leg to fine leg when you were 10, 11-year-old, when somebody didn't turn up, and you managed to get number 11th man, and you grew up and built your way through the system that way. I think I went to Ashton when I was about 12, played the second team when I was 12, played the first team when I was 13, 14 at Ashton. but never really had an idea of what cricket was or what I was trying to do, or if it was something that was a goal. Because at the end of the day, I was exactly the same as my old man, my two uncles, which were football was played on a Saturday. And when football wasn't played on a Saturday, we went and had a game of cricket for 6 or 7 weeks, and then went back to the football. So I was like that. And then I think it really hit home. I think 16s. What is it? I think it was playing with Northumberland under 16s or Northumberland under 17s against Durham. And Jeff turned up. I think Jeff was turned up looking at somebody else. And as the story goes, he goes around to the Northumberland coaching staff and said, "Where are you getting him from?" Within a fortnight, I played my first second team game for Durham. Within 3 weeks, I'd played a festival game at Scarborough against a very, very good, strong Yorkshire side, and I'd played a first-class match in 1996 against Leicester. The day Leicester won a championship. In that side, the Durham side was some good young lads, good homegrown lads, but I think the older generation had gone. And it was now starting to build something from the bottom upwards. And from there, I lost my way a little bit, got injured. I went to Pakistan with England under 19s, had a back injury, which was basically just growing pains. I'd shot up maybe 8-9 inches in height, and the body just couldn't go with trying to bowl fast. Missed the whole of 1997, and then we turned up for the pre-season of 98, and I met somebody for the first time I met him in 97, but met him properly for the first time, and he guided me through 2 years of first-class cricket. And as a captain, that was David Boone, and didn't play any one-day cricket. Just said, right, I'm just going to play in red ball cricket for the next however long, and made sure that, and he bowled me into the ground for 2 seasons, and it was brilliant. But I never played a white ball game. He just said, right, you're going to learn how to bowl overs, and it stood me in good stead, because as much as I wasn't the fastest to the gym or the quickest to the gym, I even knew where the gym was. I just thought, I didn't realise that door underneath the stairs was there. I just thought in the changing room area at Durham reception. So when you went down the stairs, you went straight out the door into your car and you went home. So I didn't realise that there was a back entrance there. So, and I just bowled my way through an education of first-class cricket.
Yeah, brilliant. How important were people like Simon Brown for you during that phase? Because I know Chubby was bowling a lot of overs at that time. I'm talking on the field here as well. How important was
he learned me a lot. He learned me a lot. He learned, like, to be fair, him and Booney, we had some good senior players at that time. That 98, 99 teams, there were some good players. Simon Brown was brilliant for Durham Cricket Club. Fantastic. And it's one of them ones, if you had come along sort of 5 years later, how good Durham could have been, but also how good Chubby could have been as well, because instead of coming around at 92 into Durham, he comes at 97, 98 and grows with John Lewis, who was brilliant for the club, Boone, Nick Speak, who was a senior player in that time, John Morris, who was good to me and good for me, and the guys, them sort of senior players were Martin Speight, and John Wood, along with, then you had the good young players, the Colleens, the Bettses, the Collingwoods, myself, trying to think, I miss people out, like the Lugsy, Cole Campbell, that came through and did well. Them younger players bounced off the senior players very, very well, and we had the blend and nucleus of a fantastic side. And Chubby was somebody who educated me well, both on and off the field, which was something that I had a good education, put it this way. But I think from Simon's point of view, that injury in, I think it's at the end of 97, or the pre-season of 98, and I think obviously it cost him the rest of his career. But I think if Durham had a left arm seamer to go with what we all already had in the seamer department going through the early 2000s, Durham were a fantastic side, and I think they would have took some beating if we had Simon as well.
Absolutely, 100% agree with that. So talk to me about the transition. So this big gangly teenager all of a sudden learns that he can get through at high 80s, 90 mile an hour. rapid rise in the first class cricket, and then how long was it before England started having a look at you?
Well, obviously I played in, I think 98 was the breakthrough season. I played once in 96, didn't play 97, played in 98. I got picked in a squad for England in 2000. Nasser Hussain said he knew at 9:30 that he wasn't going to play me. Jeff Miller, after dinner, tells a story that the circus had picked me at 9:30, and Nasser changed his mind at sort of about 10:10, 10:15, just before the toss against Zimbabwe at Lords. So you never know, the stories get sort of taken one bit and they end up in another bit. But look, it would have been great to play for England in 2000, and that was in a side which was a difficult dressing room to go in, if I'm brutally honest. There was some indifferent characters when it comes to selfishness and looking after themselves. And it really turned me off England, to be honest, because I remember going to Trent Bridge for the second Test match, I think it was, and I ended up driving all the way back to Ashington to pick my wife up, just because to have some company, and that said a lot for me to go and pick Haley up to get some company, because normally with Durham you'd go down reception, the bar area, 6, 6:30. And with England, there was nobody there for dinner, and there was a little group here, a little group there. But I think that was systematic. At the time, I didn't enjoy it, but I soon realised 4 or 5 years later what that 90s and 2000 group had to overcome. When you see Sky, Mark Butcher do the programme, cricket in the 90s, you had one bad game and you had the team. Yeah. So there's a lot of playing for themselves. It wasn't a centrally contracted environment, which was, well, you've got a contract, so you've got 7 Test matches here, and that builds and galvanizes a group, and that's probably so. When you look back at it and say it was a selfish unit, it was, but that wasn't any knock on the personnel inside. It was just the way they had been brought up, and it was a culture. So, and I feel awful saying that, because there's some really good friends of mine played it in that time, and some great guys, fantastic players. You think of the Gough, Caddick, Headley, Cork. There were just some. They never played together. Fraser, before he got injured, when it comes to the bowling unit, and it's the same with the batting. And you could understand a little bit the argument with Ramprakash and Hick of why they were so successful at first-class cricket, comfortable in their environment, and not comfortable in the international environment. And I got that when I went in, because in 2000, the likes of Atherton, Hick, Stewart, Hussain, Thorpe, Butcher, Gough, Caddick, that was the nucleus of the side. All great guys, all fantastic cricketers, but there was a lot of looking over the shoulders, thinking one bad performance, I'm not in the side. So when central contracts come around, and fast forward 3 years and getting into the Test team, it was a completely different environment, completely different culture, and Nasser Hussain and Duncan Fletcher built a unit for a concrete foundation for Michael Vaughan to take on, and we took on the world.
Yeah, and leading into that, so that probably segues quite nicely into 2005. Unbelievable summer of cricket, probably reignited the love of cricket in the UK. As you said, cricket had been through the 80s with both of them, and into the early 90s, absolutely high, killing Australia in the Ashes and things, and then probably suffered a decade or more of being probably at rock bottom. And that 2005 series, even from an Australian, I absolutely loved it, and just reignited the love of cricket in the UK.
It did, and when you look back, I went to Australia in 2002-03 with a reasonably good England side, a side that was going to take on Australia. But did we believe we could win? Arguably, probably not. No, that team at the time, Australia had just gone to India, beat India, and that was probably the greatest side that's ever played the game, in my opinion. Talk about the West Indies with the 4 fast bowlers, but Shane Warne, I don't think anybody can argue Shane Warne's the greatest cricketer that's ever lived in the history of the game. So when you have him and McGrath, Brett Lee, Jason Gillespie, who was in his pomp at the time, and then you've got a batting unit which was just Adam Gilchrist coming in at 7. For me, going to Australia, that was my second to sixth Test match. I think it was second to fifth Test match, because I only played the 4 Test matches out there. A moderate success, but people were talking about me, and I felt as though when I came back from there, and probably Marcus Trescothick, and definitely Michael Vaughan, who was the best player in the world at the time, I think the 3 of us come back with a view of, well, don't get any tougher than that. It don't get any harder than that. So I think from there, we slowly but surely built a side who could potentially take on Australia. Caribbean, we went to the Caribbean and blew the West Indies away. In the old guard helped us. I thought Butcher and Thorpe and Hussein were magnificent for us during that series. And then, like, slowly but surely, one dropped off, and good players came in and replaced them. Rob Key came in and replaced them, got runs. Strauss came in, replaced them, got runs. Bell came in, replaced them, and got runs. So we were building. Michael Vaughan was building this team to ready for that 2005 Ashes. And I think the icing on the cake was Kevin, and Vaughan was always, do we pick him, do we not? And it was, do we pick somebody with 100 Test matches, baggage of getting beat Australia, or do we pick somebody who's got a daft haircut and is going to take these lot on and make sure that he's got no baggage with Australia? And for me, it was a masterstroke on selection of Peterson. But going into that Test match series was probably the most confident a bowler I've ever been, and that was largely down to Durham. And it was the 4 first-class matches we played before the first Test match, and it was crazy. We got Mike Hussey as captain. Dale Benkenstein was there, and I remember going, a great story. I think it was I'd never met Benke before, and we'd just come back from somewhere with England, given time off before the first class game. Weren't sure we were going to play in the first class game, but I wanted to play, and we were going down to Leicester. I didn't go on the bus for some reason, and I had to take the car, and I picked Benke up. Never met him before, because I think one of the little ones was poorly, and so we didn't get there till through the night. It was really late when we got there. Woke up the next morning, got to the ground. I've never set eyes on Mike Hussey. He's Durham captain, but I've never spoke to him or seen him since he signed for Durham. And we're in the huddle before the game. First class day of the season. The pitch looked, you couldn't see. There was no difference between the outfield and the pitch. It was green rolled, hard grass, stumps either side. And I'm looking up this up and down and thinking, Leicester, we've got Plunkett, Onions. I think we had Plunkett, Onions, Harmison. And I'm thinking, I could be home by tea time on day 2 here, comfortably. So Huss then greets us all. Right, this is the way I want to play our brand of cricket. I'm still half asleep. He says, if we win the toss, I'm going to bat first. And I've gone. And I've just looked at him and I've gone, excuse me? I says, we can bowl these out for all on this. I says, we can knock these over for nothing. He went, no, we're going to go and play this brand of cricket. We were 521 for 6 when he declared, of which he got 250. But I still had my way. We bowled them out for like 140 and 160, and we still finished on day. I think it was lunchtime on day 3 when we finished, end of day 2. So still got home sharp. But that was the brand of cricket I thought changed the mindset of Durham Cricket Club. I think John Lewis did brilliantly throughout his whole time at Durham, from the minute he walked in 1997. To that 4-year period where he took over captaincy and sort of kept the club going, kept the club together. You were involved at the time.
Tough. It was tough.
Yeah, it was a tough time for Durham Cricket Club. Yeah. But I think Jeff Cook taking over as coach, Michael Hussey coming in with Michael DiVinito and Dale Benkenstein, I thought was a complete change in the mindset of the way Durham Cricket Club were portrayed by the whole country. Yeah. And from that moment, we went on. We won that game. We went and played, I can't remember who we played second. I think we might have played Worcester second. I think I took a hat-trick at Chester Street. We had another game which we won comfortably, and I can't remember who it is. Then we played Lancashire in a game which was like a test match. It was brilliant. I think our bowling attack was me, Mick Lewis, Liam Plunkett, 3 international bowlers, breezy. I think Devo might have played as well, and theirs was Chappell, Flintoff, Anderson, Keady, Muralitharan, and it was some game, and it was Colonel took Murley on. We beat Lancashire. Colonel took Murley on. Hussey got 100, batted all the way through, and it was that intense cricket set me up for the rest of the summer, and it got me in a position to take on the one days.
I was going to say against one days must have played a massive part of that as well, because that was tied right at the end of there was a final at Lords. Is that?
Yeah, Lords was tied. We bowled them out for 196, and me and Gilo, two of the biggest wheelie bins you've ever seen, trying to trudge two off. I think Bretley Misfield, and me and Gilo turning like the Titanic, trying to get back for two to get a tied match. The game at Bristol was, it was where I think Michael Vaughan and Duncan Fletcher realised we have to play Kevin Peterson.
Yeah.
And
he nailed it.
It was a great game. He got 96 in about 70 balls. We were packing our bags, thinking, right, this game will be finished with 5 overs to go. We're going to get nowhere near. We're going to get bowled out trying to chase it. And he got 90 odd off 70 balls. And it was tough, intense cricket from the minute the first ball was bowled at Grace Road on the first day of the game, all the way right through till the end of 2005 it was the best year of my life, but it's as good as I've bowled for a long, long time. And a lot was down to preparation. The preparation was perfect, and I'm always thankful for that.
Brilliant, mate. That's awesome stuff to grab a little piece of your mind there. I want to jump in there again. So you've had all this magnificent preparation, and then you go to Lords, and the whole probably nightmare scenario of Australia turn up and put in probably the perfect performance, and you're back to square one. How did you pick yourself up for Test Match 2, and how much of McGrath stepping on that ball did that play a part?
It was huge. McGrath was huge. You talked to Freddie. I've talked to Freddie a few times, and he said it, admitted it publicly. He said he froze. He froze, and the Ashes, the biggest occasion, with the bat, not with the ball. Yeah. We bowled beautifully with the ball. Yeah. Day one, we bowled them out for very under 200, and then we bowled them out again, mid 300s, which you would expect in a Test match. A team would get that much. We just didn't turn up with the bat, and I think as much as it was demoralising seeing McGrath bowl the way he bowled, and it was the complete performance by Australia. Yeah. Warm bowl well. Yeah. A lot of their batsmen got in, but there was signs in that series, especially at the start of the Test match. In them first 15 overs, there were signs there. We knew we could get at Australia, and then the realization that this bowling unit can take 20 wickets. Yeah. We can beat Australia, and a lot is made of that start and the intimidation at the start. But I always say, and I've always said, I believe Australia were more nervous than what we were going into that Test series. When you look at that start, the ball that hit Langer on the elbow, second or third ball, that's his shot. Yeah, it is. But Justin Langer. Justin Langer's favourite shot, his release shot, is a little sort of let the ball come into him and just sort of, took it round the corner down the fine leg. He never misses that. He missed that on that day, second ball. Yeah. In 160 odd Test matches, I reckon Ricky Ponting's been hit in the head twice in his entire career. Yeah. He gets hit on the head. Matthew Hayden, exactly the same. Over 100 Test matches. Very rarely does he miss a pull. And that all happened within a 12-over spell. So I think they were as nervous, if not more nervous, than what we were. We just didn't turn up with the bat. But we knew when we got to Edgbaston, if we turn up with a bat, we had this game plan. It could go horribly wrong. We could get bowled out for about 150 here in about 10 overs because we were going at them. In leading into it, all the talk was about we've got to go at 3.5. If one gets 5, he's got to get 5 for 100. We've got to go hard at them. And when Glenn's still on the ball, and I always make a joke of it, and I've actually made this joke in front of him, so he doesn't mind it. But when sportsmen say they don't want to see professional sportsmen get injured, that's complete nonsense. Because when Glenn McGrath stood on that ball, there was 10 Englishmen and a South African doing cartwheels about 45 yards away, and then Ricky decides that he's gonna bowl first on the slowest wicket in England for 25 years. And Shane Warne's, it's a good job there was a crowd in. It's not like the way we're playing now, because Warney would have getting thrown out of the ground for swearing. He was swearing that much and saying how badly the decision was of bowling first, and then Trez hits him over his head first few balls that Warne bowls. And I actually think on that day was the change in the mindset of the way English cricketers look at the red cricket ball. I think because we went hard at it.
Yeah.
Don't underestimate how good Marcus Trescothick and how much of a game changer he was at the top of the order for England.
Yeah.
And then Peterson and Flintoff in the middle of the order to get 408 in 80 overs on that day was not only was us back in the series, but we're going to win the series. And that was a little change in mindset going into the rest of the test match, or rest of the Ashes.
Yeah, awesome stuff. And it was gripping. I mean, everybody saw it was Casper, wasn't it? He gloved off you down the leg side, and just the scenes there. And even, I mean, I remember to this day, I was in Whitburn Cricket Club and watching that, the only Aussie in there, and I got some absolute stick. But I loved it. I thought it was unbelievable cricket. And I think it was the contest that everybody wanted. And like I said earlier, it just reignited the love of Test cricket. All of a sudden, the summer was alive, and you had the Trent Bridge Test match, the Old Trafford Test match, which you had them 9 down. Had the Aussies 9 down, I think.
We had the Aussies 9 down. And there was things in that series that happened, which you were pleased it didn't happen. I.e., you're pleased that you got the last wicket at Edgbaston, where everything that goes through. Because if we had lost there, we'd lost 5-0 comfortably. We could never have come back from that. Yeah. Simon Jones got in. He got cramp about 10 overs to go at Old Trafford. He doesn't get cramp. We win that Test match because he knocks them over. I'd finished the spell. Freddie was in a mammoth spell. Hoggard had just come off just before. It was reversing, and we just had nothing left to give. But when you talk about what cricket meant, there was me and Geraint Jones drove on that Monday morning, drove down Samat Busby Way, and we thought there was a bomb scare. Couldn't believe it. There was 10,000 people locked out of Old Trafford. We drove for a mile down the wrong side of the road when the traffic lights stopped to try and get in front of the queue, just to get in the ground, because I was obviously late again.
Not like you.
And when he got in the ground, he had a look, and it was full. There was at 9:30, the whole ground was full. It was sold out. That we knew then. Obviously, the series was massive. And Varney again, it's one of them ones where whenever you're on the balcony after that series, after that Old Trafford Test match, it was Varney got everybody in the huddle, and he said, "Look at this great Australian side that's celebrating a draw. Yeah, who would have thought this team celebrates a draw?" And that stuck with me for the rest of my career, because I thought, well, I can't celebrate draws anymore. I don't want to be seen to be celebrating a draw anymore. It's just natural reaction. But I think we knew then that was it. This is, if we don't beat Australia now, we'll never beat them. Yeah. Flintoff's Test match at Trent Bridge, he bowled beautifully. Simon Jones, when we went in the huddle, do we make Australia bowl again, bat again, or do we go out and do we bat again? Following on, and Simon, no, we make them, we bowl again, we make them follow on, and then he doesn't come out to bowl, so it just made it harder for the 3 daft lads who were bowling, having to try and bowl them out again, which again something that it was feared that it was going to happen. Australia get 132 in front, and Warne does his magic. How he didn't open the bowling, I do not know, because we were I think we're 29 or 32 for none, and he comes when he came on. Yeah. So little things like that sets the oval up for 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 what is one of the biggest sporting occasions we've had in 20 odd years, especially in the game of cricket. But Freddie got us to a point where his match winning 100 and the way he bowled on that afternoon at Trent Bridge was phenomenal. And what more can you say about Peterson at the Oval? The faster Bretley was bowling, the harder Kevin was swinging, and I still take the mickey out of his South African heritage and his South African mind and the way he thinks, because I don't believe an Englishman would have slog swept one as many times as Kevin did, or have the guts to do it in an Ashes series. And fair play to the guy. He's told everybody in the world how good he was after that, and he was right to do so, because that was a phenomenal innings.
That was. He told a few people before that as well, but he did.
He did. He was. Yeah. If you were ever unsure about how good Kevin was, you just had to come in the England dressing room. He'd tell you it's all right. Yeah.
But no, again, it's just that mindset, isn't it? Of we can compete to hang on, we can actually go to that next level and beat these guys is incredible. And I think we've all seen the celebrations in the bus, and Freddie in particular, kind of staggering off the bus and managing just to stay on his feet. Can you remember anything much from that evening or that following day?
The evening was quite good. There was only me and Andrew. There's only me and Andrew who didn't leave the hotel. Like Neil Fairbrother was along with us at the time in the bar upstairs. Love my hate him, Piers Morgan. He was with us as well, and we didn't want to leave and go out into town. It was going to be bedlam, so we sat. And I remember getting a phone call at, I think it's about 8:30 in the morning, to say, we've got an issue. And it was like, no doubt, Lancastrian, we've got to get Freddie up. And I said, we're not leaving for an hour. And no, we're still in the bar. You're going to have to go and get him up. I think I left him about 20 to 7, I think, in the morning. And I just left him to it. There was enough people around him to continue drinking, and he never went to bed. Never went to bed at all. Managed to get him changed, and he Michael Vaughan and Duncan Fletcher politely tapped me on the shoulder and said, "You're going to have to look after him all day." I said, "He's got no chance. You've got no chance. Got no chance." The reason why we're going on this bus trip largely is down to him. He's on the front of the bus. He's on the front of this big red bus, and you would just let him go. And by the end of it, we were all tired by the end of it. But I don't think people begrudged the celebration that we had, because when they told us after the game that this was going to happen, it was a case of, right, you cannot stop us from being the way lads would be. And that's what we were. We were, a lot of us working from working class areas, working class lads who, and we've gone hard with Australia, and we're going to celebrate. And if we turn up dishevelled and not looking our best, you're gonna have, if that's what you want, you're gonna have to put up with it. And I didn't think there'll be as many people would turn up. We were expecting family and friends walking down the streets of London, and standing on top of the bus going, "Cooey," waving at people as they're doing the shopping. But when we come around the corner in Trafalgar Square to see 250,000 people, it was just, then I think then we realised how big this series had been, because when you're in it, you're sort of shielded from it and the Ashes fever. But then when we went around that corner and seeing how many people had come out to support, it was madness. It was madness, but it was great. And I think the last thing I can remember was arm in arm with him, and he was about to go into his karaoke Suspicious Minds when they turned the microphone off. I think David Gower, for some stupid reason, gave him a microphone, give Andrew Flintoff a microphone. And this was my Andrew Flintoff turned into Stars in Their Eyes, I'm going to be Elvis, in front of 250,000 people at Trafalgar Square. And I think we caught in a trap, and I think then they realised who had the microphone and switched it off. So, but great days, great memories, and I would imagine there was a hell of a lot of top first class and international cricketers playing now took up the game because of that series.
Yeah, I would think so. And like I said, club cricket especially got a massive boost with participation with kids and stuff like that. Now, I think it was a massive watershed moment. I think probably the equivalent of what this summer has just been with the World Cup.
Definitely, definitely, and again, it was because we're blessed with greatness, and I don't say that lightly. I think the character of Andrew Flintoff. When you look at his record, and Bob Willis was quite, the great late Bob Willis, who was an unbelievable man. He pointed out Andrew's record was, when you look at it, average mid-30s with the bat, late 20s with the ball, but it was in the big occasion when Andrew stood up, and I think Ben did that last year as well. I think greatness for what Ben did, Headingley, World Cup final, when you need a character, and he stood up, and I'm so proud of what he's going to achieve this week as England captain, and he deserves it. He deserves it. His mum and dad, and the whole family. And I always think of Jeff Cook when I think of Ben Stokes like that, because of what Jeff's done for that cricket club and what he's done for a lot of them young players, myself included. At moments like this, you realise how much of a hard work people have put in to help an individual get to a position where they can thrive. And Ben did last year, and he's got his rewards and all his accolades, and he deserves every single one. And the biggest accolade, I think the biggest accolade you could ever get is to captain England, to captain your country. And I'm sure he's going to do a good job this week. Yeah,
no doubt about it. It's a massive turnaround for him from where he was with, well, we'll not go into Bristol, but where that left him right at the bottom to a massive roller coaster all the way to the top, which is absolutely awesome. And I'm just pleased that his old man's in much better health now, so they can all enjoy this moment as a family as well. Yeah, great stuff. What I'll do now, mate, is I'm going to rein back to the Durham boys, and we'll go through a little bit about your time at Durham. Favourite grounds that you played on when you were on the first class circuit?
I love playing at Chester Street. Chester Street was brilliant to play at because it was flat. When you, as a bowler, you go to Trent Bridge and there's a ridge either side, and it's
funny shape.
What you find, what you find with a lot of older first class grounds is the wickets have been relayed so much that the takeoff and landing area are two different levels.
Yeah.
And as a bowler, it can be very, very difficult. I love playing at Chester Street. It was so easy, either end. It just depended on which way the wind was howling. If the wind was howling from one end, sorry, Killer. That's why Killer never got any quicker. Neil Killeen was as fast as he was at 12-year-old. He had the same amount of hair as a 12-year-old than he did as a 40-year-old. And he was the same speed as a 12-year-old all the way throughout his career, because he was tirelessly bowling into the wind, unfortunately for somebody like me. And he was brilliant, great foil, and he was the brunt of a lot of my jokes. And I loved him. But playing at Chester Street was the best place in the country to play. I love playing at Old Trafford. Pete Marin saved my career a couple of times internationally, playing on rock hard, bouncy pitches.
Yeah.
I love playing at Lord's, but didn't like bowling there. And actually, record is actually quite good there. I never felt comfortable bowling at Lord's. People don't really understand, and there's a slope. It's nearly a 2-meter slope from sort of fine leg to fine leg. Yeah. And I think if people at home ever want to sort of gauge that, you look at the picket fence in front of the course of bricks around the bottom of the pavilion end,
and the slope up.
The main standard pavilion, the slope on it, you can see it as it goes down. It's a big drop. So I wasn't a big fan of, but I always loved playing there. Outgrounds from Durham's point of view, I quite like playing at Stockton. Stockton was a nice ground to go and play at, but I came in just after the outgrounds had gone. We basically played the majority of the time at Chester Street. But I think if I was to pick one, and it's an easy one, but Chester Street, the Rose Bowl, where there were new grounds or quite flat to bowl either end. There was no sort of humps and hollows, or you have to take off in a little hollow. But there's no place like home. Chester Street was the one.
Beautiful, man. Any nicknames? Harmy's the obvious one, but there was only any other ones?
That was it. No, Harmy was the obvious one. Mike Walters, I didn't like it when Mike Walters from the Daily Mail Daily Mirror, sorry, you'll kill me for saying that. Daily Mirror. I think after the West Indies trip, the headline was GBH, and I didn't like that because I didn't like what it meant.
Yeah.
When it was said, the whole thing, grievous bodily harm, and said, that was fine, but the GBH bit, I didn't quite like that. But Harmy was as innovative as people got. So you tend not to get, when you bowl fast, people tend not to try and take the mick or give you stupid nicknames because they had to face you in the nets or face you in a game. So quite simple, that one.
Very true. Very true. 3 ex-Durham teammates that you would pick for a night out.
Ex-Durham teammates for a night out. Well, I think Simon Brown would be one. I think you'd have to have the Colonel.
Yeah.
I'd have to have the Colonel because
great value.
And I think somebody who goes under the radar in all of Durham's history, and he was brilliant for Durham, and he was somebody who I thought he always got a raw deal. If there was a 12th man had to come and do it, he ended up doing it. He played a lot of second team, in and out the first team, and he was the biggest club person I've ever met. But he had great ability, and he was a good man in the dressing room. And I think that would be Muchie. I'd have Muchie as my third one.
Where that was gone. I knew that.
I think Gordon Mutchell is probably one of the best human beings ever to play for Durham County Cricket Club, and who has done so much for Durham County Cricket Club that people don't see. And if there was ever somebody that deserves goodwill in life, Muchie's definitely that.
Absolute great fellow. It's brilliant to see that he's now teaching at Bowes School there with Durham, and he's
very good.
In charge of physical education there. So he's carrying that on.
He's one of the fittest because he's one of the fittest men ever because he'd play a poor shot and then run around the lake in about 11 and a half minutes.
Yeah.
Where normally it would take mere mortals like us about 15, 16 minutes.
Easily.
And at the back end of my career, about 25 because we stopped off. But no, I think Muchie was. I think he was easy to leave out.
Yeah, because he's such a nice guy.
Easy to leave out and easy to sort of look over. And he was somebody who I thought had good, very, very good technical ability. And he was a very, very good man in the dressing room. And if there's somebody got a bad word against Gordon Mutchell, then there's something wrong with him.
Fair shout, yeah. I'm trying to think. You normally hear things across people, and there's never a time where I can ever.
So I'd go with Chubby because he'd always get you in a place where you're always up for a good time. Colonel, because you've got to have Colonel. You've got to have a person like Colonel on every night out.
Yeah.
And a good guy. I think I'd go Muchie.
Beautiful, beautiful. Which 3 blokes wouldn't you have in your quiz team?
Well, Colonel would be one. Colonel would be one. Mark Davis would be another one.
Shout.
I think Davo would be another one. I think would struggle to get. And I'm trying to think of another one. I think I might be in there as well. To be fair, I think I might have to put myself in there. We had some quite educated lads in there. When you look around, I think we did. We had some educated lads, even the young lads that came through. There was some degrees and brain cells coming into the dressing room, which is surprising. But I think if you want, I think Colonel would count as twice. I think Colonel would count as 2 people. Yeah. I think Colonel would count as 2 people, and I think I just put David alongside him. And looking at that, it just comes to mind is that the Phoenix Nights sketch when they've got the answers on the arms and the 7 wonders of the world, and I can just see Colonel and Davo going Snowy, Sneezy, Dopey, and for me, Colonel and Davo, and I think unfortunately, I might just sneak in there as well.
Harsh, mate, harsh on yourself. Righto, which ex-teammate would be the last bloke to get a round in? So who's my roundophobic?
Oh, Onions, big time. I don't even think Onions is. I I think Onions has still got his dinner money from school. I think his mum sent him away with his dinner money when he was 12-year-old, and I still think he's got that £1.25. He will admit, I think Onions will admit that he is up there with the tightest. Kenty, Nigel, a physio for 25 years. I don't think he was. I think he was stuck to his seat a few times as well. But I don't think anybody can rival Onions. If Colonel's a shoo-in for not to be in your quiz team, Onions is definitely the man who won't go to there. Will be the last one at the bar.
Not the last time he will be mentioned. It's certainly not that is for sure. Right, our last couple of questions, mate, and then I'll let you go. If you won the lottery and we put a couple of million quid in your bank account, what would be the first thing you'd do with it?
Ooh, I don't know, to be honest. That would be a good question. I think I'd move abroad. For somebody who hated playing cricket abroad and being away from home, I'm actually at a point now where I think I quite like the sun, and I'd move abroad. I've been thinking about it for a while.
I could put you in Portugal, mate, on the Algarve there with all those golf courses.
Yeah, I think I'd buy a nice place, not have to worry about doing any broadcasting, and play golf every day in the sun and not have to worry about it. I think somewhere where you'd play for 12 months of the year. So I think I'd buy somewhere abroad and live abroad, and get away from all things cricket. Yeah,
great stuff. And last question. If somebody was to play Stephen Harmison in a movie of your life, who would the actor be?
Probably Jimmy Nail, to be fair. I've asked Freddie this before, and he said Tom Cruise. I was like, you're twice the height of Tom Cruise. Tom Cruise going to make your... Oh, Brad Pitt, he says, because he thinks he looks like Brad Pitt. No. I think it would have to be someone like Jimmy Nail. It would be an obscure, somebody that's a little bit rough around the edges, especially, and somebody unpredictable, because that was arguably what my cricket life and career was. It was very enjoyable, but it was certainly a roller coaster. It was up and down, and it wasn't always predictable. So I think an actor of unpredictability would definitely, he would get the cast and vote.
He'd definitely get the accent anyway. That might have been the hard.
It wouldn't take much.
Absolutely brilliant, mate. Well, I'm going to let you go. Just really want to thank you for your time, mate. Really appreciate it. And it's great to speak to you again. And hopefully we can catch up soon and have a beer.
Cheers, Thorpe. Keep up the good work.
Cheers, mate.
Thanks, man.